factcheck.org, and this week we're going to take a look at President Trump's claim that President Obama wiretapped him before his election victory. This all started in a series of tweets that President Trump sent out starting on Saturday, March 4th at 6:35 in the morning. The president was at Mar-a-Lago, his resort in Florida. Quote, "Terrible. Just found out that Obama had my, quote, wires tapped in Trump Tower just before the victory. Nothing found. This is McCarthyism." Two other tweets followed, and then at 7:02 a.m., President Trump concluded this series of tweets with this: "How low has President Obama gone to tap my phones during the very sacred election process? This is Nixon Watergate. Bad or sick guy." Is this true? Did President Obama personally order the wiretapping of then-candidate Donald Trump during the election? No, it does not appear to be true. There is no evidence that it is true, and President Trump has not produced one shred of proof that it's true. There are two key people you'd want to check with: the Director of National Intelligence during this period and the Director of the FBI. So let's start with the first one, James Clapper, the former Director of National Intelligence. What does he have to say? Take a listen.
I can deny it.
There is no FISA court order.
Not to my knowledge.
Of anything at Trump Tower?
No.
What about the FBI director? Well, CNN has reported that FBI Director James Comey was, quote, incredulous at President Trump's tweets because he says they are completely, utterly false. So what does the White House have to say? How do they defend themselves from this wild charge? In a brief statement, Press Secretary Sean Spicer urged a congressional investigation into, quote, reports concerning potentially politically motivated investigations. That is hardly an endorsement, a full-throated defense of what President Trump tweeted. And in fact, Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders told ABC News that Trump wasn't the, quote, one that came up with this idea. She cited multiple news outlets that have reported this. The White House provided us with 5 stories, one from Heat Street, the BBC, National Review, and 2 from the New York Times. We looked at all these stories, but only 2 of them really are outlets that reported this, Heat Street and the BBC. They both reference anonymous sources claiming that the FBI sought 2 FISA warrants to authorize wiretapping of 2 Russian banks and its possible ties to Trump campaign associates. But to be clear, none of the 5 stories the White House provided for us, none of them provided any reporting that President Obama had ordered the wiretapping of President Trump. None of them. So what is President Trump talking about? Well, the White House is now punting the issue to Congress, saying, quote, neither the White House nor the president will comment further until such oversight is conducted. But why would Congress need to investigate this? President Trump made this claim. Surely he has all the facts at his disposal that led to this charge. No? No, apparently not. And the topic came up on Stephen Colbert's show on CBS with Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA and former director of the National Security Agency under President George W. Bush.
So the president said that it happened, that he's found out that it happened and that it's terrible and that Obama's a bad or a sick guy, and he's called for an investigation. Can the president just find out for himself that this happened?
That's what I wondered, what happened on Saturday morning. He seemed to have forgotten that he was the president of the United States.
General Hayden went on to say that if President Trump were really convinced that something like this might have happened, he could pick up the phone and call the director of the FBI or call the director of National Intelligence, but he has not apparently done either of those. Instead, he just put out this series of tweets that seem to have no basis in reality whatsoever. A reminder to all you politicians out there, you're perfectly entitled to your own opinions, not to your own facts. I'm Jake Tapper for CNN State of the Union, and